Hear me now?
Now it's clear.
Clear, okay, good.
Can you repeat again?
Yes, yes, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, now let's start about schedule development. In the previous process, we spoke about duration estimate for each activity. So, for example, we had 10 activities. Each activity take 10 days. What is the duration of the project? Can you able to tell me? It is not 10 into 10, 100 days is the duration of the project. It is not the summation of all the duration of the activities, you will get the project duration. We need to put them into the calendar, then we should be able to determine the duration of the project. That's why I'm saying that schedule development is a calendar-based method of determining the project duration. So in order to develop the schedule, in this process, you need to do everything to get the final schedule. How that final schedule should be? It must be bought into, approved, realistic, and formal. What do I mean by bought into? You need to get the buy-in of the stakeholders into the schedule. Your stakeholders should believe schedule is workable, achievable, and realistic. This is what we are trying to achieve through this process. One of the commonly used method is critical path method. Where do you say critical path? It is the longest duration path through the network diagram, which determines the shortest time period we could complete the project. When you do the exercise, you will be clear with that concept. What is the benefit or how it helps the project managers or project team by knowing the critical path? It helps you to prove how long project will take. Whenever you say, I need project 300 days duration, the clients are asking, why you need 300 days? So you should be able to demonstrate through the critical path analysis why you need 300 days. It helps the project manager to determine where to focus his project management efforts. Our project management efforts should be in managing the critical path activities. If we can ensure all the critical path activities are completed within the planned duration, we are ensuring project is completed on time. Also, it provides vehicle to compress the schedule during project planning. What do you mean by compressing the schedule? Compressing the schedule means you are reducing the project duration. So you will be able to analyze where can we reduce the duration. Generally, the critical path duration is the one helps you in reducing the project duration. It provides vehicle to determine which activities have flow. Therefore, it can be delayed without delaying the project. What do you mean by float? Float is the flexibility available in any activity which can be delayed to certain extent without affecting the project completion date or without affecting the commencement of the successor activity. We will talk about the float. We have three types of float we need to learn. Of course, the easiest way of determining the critical path is identify all the paths through the network diagram, add up the duration of each path, and see which path has the longest duration. That is your critical path. When we talk about the float, there are three types of float you should be familiar. One is the total float, second one is free float, third one is project float. When I say total float, another name for the float is slack. Keep that name in your mind. The total float is the amount of time the activity could be delayed without delaying the project completion date or project end date. It is the amount of time the activity could be delayed without affecting the project completion date. That is called total float. Second one is free float. It is the amount of time the activity could be delayed without delaying the early start of the successor activity. Without delaying the early start of the successor activity. That is called free float. Third one is project float. It is the amount of time the project could be delayed without delaying the externally imposed completion date or the date required by the customer or the date agreed with the management. The other two float easy to understand. Third one, I give you a small example. When you are taking the contract with the client has agreed to complete the project in 400 days. Client is requesting you to complete the project in 400 days. You agreed. You signed the contract. When you are developing the detailed schedule, you are coming up with a project duration of 350 days by analyzing different methodology, technology, different type of resources, and different sequencing, all kind of analysis you did. You came up with a schedule of 350. That means even you are delayed beyond this 350 days schedule you established in the project, you still have 50 days of float available with you to meet the customer imposed completion date. With the customer imposed completion date. That's why this 50 days between your project schedule and the customer imposed date is called project float. This is theoretical to talk, never happens in our life. Why? When we are developing the schedule, for example, we require 400 days. Customer is insisting you to complete the project in 350 days. You are through the schedule development, you are telling them, sorry, it cannot
Excuse me,
be.
sir, your sound is breaking again.
No, I'm not getting any message. It looks fine for me now. Let us see. So when we require 400 days for project duration, but customer is insisting you to complete the project in 350 days. That means you are having a negative flow. So when we are explaining to them, sir, project cannot be completed in 350 days. It requires minimum 400 days to complete. They say, no, we can try that during the life cycle to reduce the duration. Please proceed with the execution. So what will you do? You will end up with a negative float of 50 days. This is the reality. Generally, activities on the critical path have zero flow. There is no flexibility for you to delay the critical path activities. It should be completed within the planned duration. Critical path activities which are delayed will show you negative flow. Whenever you see the negative flow, it means you are in delay. Float is an extremely useful tool for the project managers. You can use the float information managing the project by resource balancing. For example, when you are having some delay in the critical path activities, how can we manage that? So you can delay, you can use the resources from the non-critical path activities, pull the resources from there, put it into the critical path activities because those activities can be delayed to such an extent. So delay them, pull them into those resources into the critical path activities so that you can ensuring that the project can be achieved within the agreed time frame. That is called resource balancing. Say, for example, you have a resource who is not much experienced, but they have assigned you into the project. What will you do? Where will you put him? Will you put him in the critical path or will you put him in the non-critical path? So you have to deploy this resource into the non-critical path. Even due to his inexperience, if we delay the activities, we still have the float there. So we have the flexibility to delay them. Whereas if you put him in the critical path, he is going to delay the project. That's why by knowing the critical path, we have a security, easy to manage. Generally, the float is calculated using a simple formula: let start minus early start, or let finish minus early finish. Say, for example, I have activity with a let start of 30, early start of 18, let finish of 34. What is the float? We can use the start formula: let start minus early start. So 30 minus 18 told is the float of that activity. Let us test your knowledge so far based on our discussion. Do we have, can there be more than one critical path?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, you can have any number of paths. What will happen when you are having multi-critical path? Your project management effort is going to be heavy. So you will be juggling between the critical path 1, critical path 2, critical path 3, then your risk of the project increases. That's the next question. Do you want to be there? Of course, no. It increases the risk of the project. Generally, we prefer to manage a single critical path. How much flows does the critical path have? Critical path does not have any flow.
Zero float.
Can there be negative flow?
Yes.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Delay in the project.
Yes. When you see the negative flow, that means you are in delay. You are behind the schedule. Would you leave the project with a negative flow?
No.
What would you do?
You have to take corrective action.
Yes, you need to take corrective action. What is the corrective action you will take? You try to compress the schedule. Whenever you see the delay, you try to compress the schedule so that you can recover the delay. Otherwise, it is going to increase the project risk. When we talk about compressing the schedule, there are two techniques involved. One is called the crashing, another one is called fast tracking. I'm summarizing these two techniques in a simple manner. Crashing, I will explain you what is crashing. Crashing means increasing the resources to the critical path activities in order to get the reduction in duration. Increasing the resources. When you are increasing the resources, what is the impact?
Project cost becomes higher.
Cost impact will create a cost impact. It creates a cost impact. Fast tracking, what is fast tracking? Say, for example, we want to do activities in a particular finish to start, right?
Parallel.
So finish to start. We need to do the activities in parallel or overlapping. That's called fast tracking. When you do the fast tracking, what is the result?
The risk gets increased.
Risk increases. What's the risk you are taking? When you are doing the fast tracking, most of the time you are ending up with a lot of reworks. Lot of rework will happen. You need to increase your coordination efforts to minimize the rework. That is the risk way. So fast tracking increases the risk. Look at the key points. Crashing, it increases the project cost. It can change the critical path. Of course, you are reducing. This path will become shorter, other path will become longer. It can be done by increasing the resources to the critical path activities. Whether you are using crashing or fast tracking as a compression technique, it can be applied only to the critical path activities. Thereby, you can get the reduction. If you are applying this technique in the non-critical path activities, you will not get the reduction. So the third point is you can obtain the greatest amount of compression for the least incremental in cost. For the least incremental in cost. When you are doing the options of compression, you may have multiple options. You must analyze what is the cost of each option. Whatever the option gives you the least cost impact, that is the best option to choose. That's called obtain the greatest amount of compression for the least incremental in cost. The fourth point is it consider law of diminishing of return. What is law of diminishing of return? Say, for example, one of the activity, You planned for
So this
30 days.
law of diminishing of return means
I'm explaining that. So, for example, one of the activity, you planned for 30 days with the 30 resources. Now, you increase the resources to 60 resources. So, are you going to get the reduction by 50% more, 100% less? No. So, you don't assume whatever the increase in resources, you get the similar reduction in the duration. You must analyze the activity. Even some cases, if you even increase the resources, you may not get the reduction. So you need to really analyze the activity and determine. So the law of diminishing of return says, you don't expect whenever you are increasing the resources in a, say, 50%, you don't get reduction 50% in duration. You know, it is not the linear. So it all depends on the nature of the activity. Fast tracking, key point is increases the project risk. It can change the critical path as well. It can be done by changing the relationship between the activities. It can be done by changing the relationship between the activities. For example, you are planned with a finish to start relationship. Now you want to get the reduction in duration. So you can change it to start with a lag. That means you are overlapping. That is called fast tracking. Fast tracking can result in rework. These are the key points you must remember so that any questions come in, you can attempt it. The next technique is resource leveling. What's resource leveling? I give a simple example to understand the resource leveling. When you finalize the schedule, you came up with a resource requirement of 3,000 resources required for the project based on your analysis of the project schedule. But when you are analyzing the actual availability with your company, with the subcontractors and the other constraints we have, we realize that it is not able to achieve deployment of 3,000 resources. The maximum we could able to get the resources about 2,500 resources. So there is a shortage of resources, or there is a limitation of the resources available. So what will happen in this case? If you are readjusting the schedule based on your 2,500 resources available in your hand or the actual availability, what will happen to the schedule? The schedule gets elongated. Because you planned with the 3,000 resources certain duration. Now you have a shortage of resources. So if you upload the actual resources availability, the schedule gets elongated. But your customer is not accepting, or your management is not accepting. No. Even with these 2,500 resources, we want you to complete the project within the agreed duration. How can we do that? So what we can do now, we can analyze the non-critical path activities, how long we can delay them. We can delay them up to that extent. We pull the resources from there and put it into the critical path activities in order to achieve the agreed completion. That is called resource leveling. That is another method is you can use the overtime, sometimes extended working hours, or sometimes non-working days to become working days. All these are part of the resource leveling technique. So what is the result of this process? Project schedule. So you are detailing the project schedule with a scheduled start date, end date. Then you are also assigning the resources for each activity. Later, when you complete your budgeting process, you will be able to assign cost to each activity. The final schedule will be resource loaded and cost loaded. That's what you are using in the project, which is called performance measurement. The schedule should be approved and signed up by the stakeholders and functional managers. Why? It gives us assurance that they have read the schedule, understand the dates, understand the resource commitments, so they're likely to cooperate in achieving the schedule. The schedule can be displayed in three forms. One is the project schedule network diagram. Other form is Gantt chart or bar chart. Other one is milestone. I will show you. This is the project schedule network diagram. From here, you can understand how the schedule is happening between the various activities. But generally, it is used for understanding the dependencies between the activities. Generally, it is used for understanding the dependencies. What is the logical way of doing the activity? This is called a Gantt chart or bar chart. It is a good tool for tracking the progress and making sure the team understand where are we now. We can able to show plan versus actual bar with the different colors. It is easy tool for understanding or tracking the progress. Third one is milestone chart. It is a good tool for reporting to the management or the customers. Your customers or management not interested on your 20,000 IQ. They are interested on when you will be able to achieve the key deliverables. This is what they are interested. So we can show them through the milestone chart. The second result from this process is schedule-based plan. What is schedule-based plan? When we are developing the schedule is not going to be finalized in a single go. We may go into revision 0, revision 1, revision 2, revision 3. So when we reach to revision 4, all the stakeholders said, oh, this schedule is perfect. This schedule is really workable, achievable, realistic. We're ready to implement this schedule. Then that schedule becomes baseline for the project. So that is our basis for measuring the progress during execution. That's called baseline. So it is a specific version of the project schedule developed from your schedule analysis. It is generally accepted and approved by the project management team in the project. Schedule baseline is a component of the project management plan. And again, reminding you, schedule baseline can only be changed for the formally approved changes in change control mode. Meeting the schedule baseline is one of the measurement of project success. When it says that a project is successful, one of the criteria is you should have completed within the agreed schedule. Okay, we develop the schedule. What is the next step? Now we move into the execution. So while you are executing the work, you need to periodically update your schedule in order to determine whether we are on schedule or behind schedule or ahead of schedule. That's called performance review. Generally, what the people do is they look at the scheduled activities, they look at the compare with the planned actual activities, they compare plan versus actual. If both are matching, they are assuming, yes, we are doing good. We are doing good in schedule, we are doing good in cost, we are doing good in achieving the scope, which may not be true. By simply comparing plan versus actual, you will not be able to get the realistic performance. If you really want to understand the performance of the project, when you are measuring the progress, you must question yourself. What are all the deliverables we agreed to complete until today? What is the timeline we agreed to complete? What is the budget we agreed to complete? What we have achieved? What we have spent so far has to be analyzed together. That is being done through the technique called earned value technique, which we are going to learn in detail. I will explain you what is the earned value technique with the sketches so that you can able to understand the earned value technique. So what we are trying to do now? So you are measuring your actual performance, comparing with your plan. You understand whether we are on schedule, behind schedule, or ahead of schedule. If you are on schedule, no problem. When you are ahead of schedule, no problem. When you are behind schedule, you need to come up with your necessary corrective actions by understanding the reason behind the delay so that you will be able to implement your corrective action to improve the schedule performance so that we will be able to achieve our schedule aligned with our baseline. That's what is called performance review. That's all about the schedule. Hereafter, all questions and answers. Okay, now I will unmute all of you, but try to keep your items clear because so you can answer.
Yeah.
You have to keep your background less noise. Okay. Let's answer these questions. Let's go through these questions. Read it.
Order of magnitude.
We spoke about four type of estimating accuracy, right? That's called refinement of estimate. One is the order of rough order of magnitude, budgetary estimate, and accuracy estimate. Definitive estimate. These are the 4 levels. So what is the answer? You can type your answer if you want. So out of these 4, defensive, capital cost, order of magnitude, feasibility. That is the 3 is the answer. That is the only one within our estimating techniques. Now I'm putting here. See here, rough order of estimate, then order of magnitude, budgetary estimate, and definitive. So the most accurate estimating technique is definitive estimate. Second question. Yes. 3 is the correct answer. Why? The milestones doesn't show all the, it shows only the either commencement date or completion date of a major deliverable or key events in the project are defined as milestones. That's correct. 3 is the answer. Except resource leveling done to take care of this issue may result in all the following except. Yeah. 4 is the correct answer. Very good. Because when you talk about the different techniques like crashing, fast tracking, resource allegations, and so on, it's all concerned the resource leveling. But it is here, there is a possibility of increase in cost. So we cannot say reduction in cost. Yes, easy question. Another name for the float is slag. Now you got a news because of bad weather, your shipment is going to get delayed by 2 weeks. What should be the first step that you take? Number 3, try to get additional supplies. Why?
Number 4.
That will be the first step you will take. Number 4. Okay. So that is the last action. You need to take corrective action. How will you take corrective action? Before you got the corrective action, you must take Yes. Number 2. Yes. Whenever you get this kind of situation, what should be the logically you should be doing? Okay, this equipment is going to be delayed by 2 weeks. Okay, what is the impact on this schedule? So you must analyze what all the activities may get affected because of this equipment delay. It has to be identified first. Then what is the impact on the critical path? How much impact on the critical path? Then accordingly, we can able to determine the action. You cannot straight away jump into action 4, item 4, or you cannot say go for additional supplies. No. So you must analyze, understand, and then you take the appropriate action. So the first step is number 3. Just logically think that's what you should be doing.
Sir, can you go back to the question 5 with the answer one time? Thank you.
We must analyze and determine the impact and find out the reason. Accordingly, we should be able to take action. What are the activities affected? Accordingly, we can decide that.
Risk of the project increases.
Risk of the project increases.
Perfect. Yes. Which is whenever the number of critical path increases, risk of the project increases. Perfect. Next chapter.
Reduce risk.
Reduce the risk.
Number 2. Actually, fast tracking increases the risk. Whereas option 2 says reduce the risk, which is not correct. But all others are part of the fast tracking. Fast tracking can result in rework and increase. Okay, next we need to understand the development of arrow diagramming method, network diagram. In the arrow diagramming method, as I told you, the activity events are indicated as circle, where here we indicate the start date, here we indicate the float, here we indicate the finish date. Activity name and the duration is indicated on the arrow. So it's called arrow diagramming method. So let's take an example. So they will give you a network diagram like this. They will ask you to determine the critical path, or they will ask you to determine the duration of the project, or they may ask you to determine the float of a particular activity. How to approach this kind of question? They will give you the network diagram like this in the exam. Firstly, what we need to do is we need to perform the forward pass calculation, where we need to determine early start for each activity or each event until from the start of the project until end of the project in this direction. So we need to determine for all the activities early start until end of the project. That is called forward pass calculation. Then we need to start from end of the project. We need to work backwards to determine the early finish for each activity until start of the project. That is called backward pass calculation. Upon completion of the early start and early finish, then we can determine the float, then we can see the critical path, then we can determine the duration of the project. Let's go to the starting point. Let's start with the forward pass calculation. Forward pass calculation. Let's start this. Here is the first activity. Here is the first activity. So we always start with the first activity is 0. Start of the project is 0. So we start with 0. 0 plus activity A duration is 2. So 0 plus 2, 2 here. That is the early start of the next year. Here 0 plus 9. So 9 here. 0 plus 4, 4 here. Then come to here. 2 is the early start. Early start plus duration 5. So it becomes 7. 7. Then here continue 7 plus 8, 15. Here 9 plus 4, 13. But you must be careful here. Why? There are two activities linked to this event. So here 9 plus G is 4. So 9 plus 4, 13. Here 4 plus 5, 9. So 9, 13. 9, 13. Which one you will take? You must take the highest value. Why? The commencement of this event depends on the completion of G and completion of 5. G is starting at 13, whereas I is starting at 9. So when this event will start? Only at 13. So that's the highest value. Then here 4 plus J, 7. Duration is 7. 4 plus 7, 11. Then come to the end. There are three activities linked to the end of the project. Activity F, activity H, and activity K. Let's look at the F. 15 plus 3, 18. This is 1, comma. 13 plus 11, 24. Okay. Here 11 plus 5, 16.
The biggest one, 24.
Which one will take? 24. Highest one? 20. So the early start of this last event is 20. This is called forward pass calculation. So what we have determined? We determined early start for all the activities. Okay. Now go back to the next step. Backward pass calculation. Now let's start from backward. Let's start from backward. Here how much? Early start is 24. Is there any further activity? No more, right? This is the last activity. Then what will be the early finish?
24.
24. So the last activity, early finish is 24. Now we need to determine the early finish of this event. So here 24 minus duration of the activity. 3, 24 minus 3,
21.
Here 24 minus 11, 13. Here 24 minus K, 5. So 24 minus 5, 19.
19.
So early finish minus duration. Let's come to here. E. 21 minus 8, 13. Let's come to say here. Here you must be careful because it's connected to through I as well as J. So 19 minus 7, how much? 19 minus 7, 12. Right?
Yes.
Here, 13 minus 5, I is 5. 13 minus 5, 8. Okay? So what you will take here, the early finish here should be lowest value.
Lowest one.
12 or 8. So when you are going backward, you must take the lowest value. When you are going forward, you must take the highest value.
Highest value.
Yes. So it is backward pass calculation, lowest value. So it is 8. Let's come to here. It's only one, G. So 13 minus 4, 9.
9.
Here come to D. Only one activity linked here. 13 minus 5, 8.
8.
Yes. Let's come to 0 now. First activity. There are 3 activities linked to 0, right?
Yes.
A, B, and C. Let's look at the A item. 8 minus 2 should be 6. Here, come to the B. 9 minus 9, 0. Come on. Here, 8 minus 4, 4. So which one is we will take now? 0. 0 is the lowest. 0 is the that is called
Backward
backward
pass.
pass calculation. Very simple. Now let's go to the next step. Determining the float.
Float.
Let's come to the float now. How to calculate the float in this method? Very simple in this method. Early finish minus early start will give you the float. 8 minus 2, 6.
6.
17, 13 minus 7, 6.
6.
21 minus 15, 6.
6.
9 minus 9,
0.
0. 13 minus 13, 0. 24 minus 24, 0. 8 minus 4, 4. 19 minus 11, 8. That's all. So we determine the float of all the events. Now let's look at the float. All the activities which are 0 float, you connect them, you get the critical. That's all.
Correct the critical activity.
Yes. Critical path is
Critical.
0, B, G, H, N. So start B, G, H, N. That is your critical path.
Critical path.
So you connect all 0 float activities. Connect all 0 float activities. That's the critical path. Whereas the other path like A2, D5, so A, D, E, F, N, this is one another non-critical path. Other one is C, I, H, N, that is also non-critical path. Whereas C, J, K, also non-critical path.
B, G, H.
So the critical path is B, G, H, N. Start B, G, H, N. That's the way you are trying. So what is the duration of the project?
24.
20.
24.
24 is the duration.
Duration. Sir, can I ask you one thing?
Yes, please.
In the case of these problems, will they provide this diagram?
They say they provide you the diagram, yes.
Yeah.
They are
Okay.
giving you the next question I will show you. This is one of the MMSC questions.
Yeah.
They give you the diagram.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you need to calculate the.
Mhm.
So the same power you have to do the calculation.
Yeah.
15. 15 minus.
I will send you. I have the solution for it. I will also share with you in the group. Okay.
Mhm.
I already worked it out in the class. See here, sometimes they will ask you, what is the total float of activity D? The same question, sometimes they ask you, what is the duration of the project? Same question only. Both questions came in the exam. They ask one question like this. Some other people, they got the same question. They're asking you, what is the duration of the project?
Duration of the
So
project.
if you do the calculation correctly, you can answer both. If they ask you this, both you can answer.
Eighth question.
Okay.
Sir, 8th question.
This question you have to do. Now, when you did the forward pass, what is the answer of what is the result of the forward pass? That's what they are asking you. Last time when you do the forward pass calculation, what do you get?
D.
Critical path of the project.
When you do forward pass,
Earliest time and activity can be
Earliest time then
finished.
activity can be finished.
when you do the forward pass, you get the earliest early finish. When you do backward pass only, you get the early finish. When you do forward pass, you get early start. Early
Yeah.
start, early start, early start, like that you are calculating, right?
Yeah.
When you reach the end, and then you are doing backward pass calculation, you are getting early finish for each activity. And then you calculate the flow, and then you determine the duration of the time.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So when
Absolutely.
they ask you early start, what is the result of early start? Forward pass, early start. What is
Early
the
start,
result of
yeah.
backward pass? Early finish.
Early finish. Total quality management.
Total quality management. Very good. Except,
C.
C is correct. Why? C says have medium to long duration for each activity. When you come to the work packages, there is no activity at the work package level. So that is not the right statement. That's why that's the correct answer.
Sir, can you explain once more?
No, when you look at the option one, what say? All of the following are true about work package. What is work package? It is the deliverable in a WPS, right? It is
Yes.
the lowest level in the WPS. It is a deliverable, not the activity. In this level, only talk about deliverable.
Yeah.
Whereas option C says have to medium to long duration for each activity, which is not correct.
Okay.
That's why it is correct answer.
Specifications take precedence over drawings.
Correct. Specification takes precedence over the very good.
B.
No project.
Trust before construction, non-advisor.
All of the above.
Before construction. Okay, all are correct. Why? Reduced project duration is correct. Non-project cost before construction is correct. Non-adversary relationship among participants. What does that mean?
Advisor.
In the case of traditional projects, you have the owner, you have the design consultant, you have the supervision consultant, you have project management consultant, and then you have main contractors, you have major package contractors, and so on, right? All the contractors are taking advice of the consultants. They are advisors to the contractors. Whereas in the design build project, there is no such a method. All are appointed for a specific purpose. All are having a specific responsibility to perform. Nobody is advisor to anybody. Everybody is a contractor, he is having execution responsibility. Designer, he has design responsibility. So, design and build, yeah, method of arrangement in the industry. So nobody is advisor to anybody. That's called non-adversary relationship. That's all are correct. Easiest question.
A.
Ministry of Public Work.
Yes. You must know Ashgal, you must know Karama, you must know PCDD, you must know MME, all these ministries' names related to our construction industry, you must be familiar.
What is A?
A.
Yes.
While working on the final stages of job, you will notice that a small clause of contract has been added accidentally. What do you do? Should I answer?
A.
A.
Till the point.
Only A resolves our problem.